A Rivers State man has sued President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the federal government over what he called a constitutional declaration of state of emergency in his home state, Rivers. Recall that since the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State, there have been arguments for and against over whether the president have the constitutional right to declare a state of emergency even where there is no war, demanding such an action in the states.
Hello, Jinx.
Good morning, Dr.
Thank God, it's Friday. Your favorite day of the week.
You came early. Can you imagine? Brian
today. Yeah, absolutely.
Really.
Morning.
Good morning, Ayo. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm going to come and visit you this weekend, and I promise.
Thank you.
Good morning. How are you? Rufy on fire.
I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm great.
good. All right.
Looking good.
All right, keep the fire burning. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending with reactions trailing the approval of the emergency rule in Rivers State by the National Assembly on Thursday, despite the call against a voice vote. Senate President Godswill Akpabio put the matter to a voice vote, with lawmakers overwhelmingly supporting the president's proclamation.
Those in support of the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State say aye. And those again say nay. The aye is serving in unanimity. It is our hope that this declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by Mr. President will bring peace and ensure speedy resolution of all the issues that led to the impasse.
Well, in the same vein, the seal of approval for the Senate's proclamation on Rivers State came via voice vote during plenary in the Green Chamber of the National Assembly on Thursday. However, before the House commenced debate on the President's request, House of Representatives member Obi Agwocha from Abia State raised a point of order, saying the constitutional procedures must be followed as stipulated in Section 305 and that head counts should be taken.
Mr. Speaker, may I please ask?
We already have our attendance registers, honorable colleague, and we will rely on that to ensure.
Mr. Speaker, this is a constitutional.
Yes,
Can we do a head count, Mr. Speaker? We ascertain that we have a quorum.
Yes.
We ascertain that we have.
Yes, yes. Our attendance register will guide us accordingly, honorable. Please. Our attendance registers will guide us accordingly. Members are still signing, and at the end of the day, we'll take attendance.
Mr. Speaker, can that be made available now for the members to know whether we have formed a quorum? Whether we have formed a quorum, Mr. Speaker, as enshrined in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, so that our deliberations are not going to be deliberations based on illegality.
It is noted, honorable. Please, you can sit down. Sit down, please. Your point of order is noted. Please sit down.
Agwocha right there stood for democracy. Let me take Peter Obi's tweet. He wrote, "You cannot determine a two-thirds majority by a voice vote. While a two-thirds majority is crucial, it does not justify bypassing proper procedures and undermining the principles of transparency and accountability. The use of a voice vote in such a significant decision not only disregards constitutional requirements, but also erodes public trust in the democratic process, as well as the transparency and integrity of the National Assembly. Decisions of such magnitude must be made with integrity, following the letter and spirit of the law. It is disheartening that a decision as crucial as approving an emergency proclamation, one that could alter the course of the nation, has been handled with such casual disregard for constitutional standards. The 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, as amended, clearly requires that such a proclamation must be approved by at least two-thirds of all members of each house, the Senate and the House of Representatives. A simple call of aye or nay cannot accurately measure this crucial threshold. When a supermajority is required, it demands a recorded vote, whether by division, roll call, or electronic means. This isn't just a technicality. it is a matter of law and legitimacy. The Senate standing orders and House rules were established to ensure that decisions of this magnitude are made transparently with accountability. Ignoring these procedures is not just an oversight, it is a betrayal of the democratic process. Well, in the meantime, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Thursday lauded the National Assembly for the patriotic approval of the emergency rule in Rivers State. In a statement released by Bayo Ononuga, the president's special advisor on information and strategy, Tinubu commended the lawmakers' decision to prioritize the security and welfare of Rivers above partisan interests and other considerations. Well, let me read a part of Bayo Ononuga's tweet. He wrote on X, "The crisis in Rivers State was at a perilous tipping point, threatening the security of vital oil and gas installations and undermining the national economy and the significant progress we have made in the reforms initiated since our administration commenced in May 2023. As I detailed in my address to the nation on March 18th, the near total collapse of governance, threats to federal economic assets, and the risk of widespread violence left no room for hesitation. This emergency measure is a lifeline to safeguard livelihoods, secure critical infrastructure, and restore democratic accountability. Today's decision exemplifies what our nation can achieve when unity of purpose and patriotism guide the actions of leaders. We remain steadfast in pursuing a safer, more prosperous Nigeria, one where every citizen's potential is safeguarded and nurtured. I mean, Rufai, you can see here, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in this same tweet re-echoed his decision with regards to the stabilization of River State as it pertains, the infrastructure, oil and gas pipelines. I believe that you have a report, or you saw a report saying that those pipelines that were alluded to had started
so quickly.
Operations so quickly. I mean, I wanted just your comment on that, because obviously this is a whole topic that we have to discuss really quickly and take more comments on social media.
Okay, see, this is my comment on this. And for the arguments we're having today, as regards the pretext, and the question I asked is important. What was the pretext for a state of emergency? Number one, you said national or the security situation was hampered. I'm still asking them to show me the imminent threat of danger that was happening in the States when that happened. Because, you see, we should not be two-faced. I'm saying this thing because of posterity. When for over a month here, we had two speakers, two factions openly fighting the Lagos State House of Assembly. There was no imminent threat of danger there. So what was the imminent threat of danger? Was there a breakdown of law? Because the last thing I remembered was Governor Fubara going there and they locked the door.
Exactly.
And he left and he still was appealing to them. A day, the imminent threat of danger that they claim, a day before that thing happened, I still had on TV where he went to give some platforms to military officers or the Air Force or something. The state was going. What he was trying to do was able to represent the budget. Prior to this time, he has even called for new local government elections. And amends were being made. So where is the imminent threat of danger? All of a sudden, we saw one pipeline being blown. And the next thing was working the next day. You must be able to tell us that, there was so much imminent threat of danger as regards pipeline being blown up.
All right.
And you must be able to give us a full investigation as regards what happened. You must be able to tell us, what warranted. See, let me tell you something, Oji. We speak to all sides.
All right.
Even people within President Tinubu's government knows that the call for state of emergency was high-handed. All right. They know. We speak to everybody. So we are saying this because of posterity of nation. Please.
The idea of this imminent threat of danger, and we have to really find ways to educate Nigerians or to let Nigerians know what this imminent threat of danger is, because some of the conversations that we have had is maybe there's some sort of security intel that the National Assembly members know, or the Senate knows. We need to know whether or not this is it, because we don't understand why at this point People in the north have been complaining about threats of danger. We are seeing videos on social media. People are saying, okay, is this Rivers State? We're seeing soldiers were killed. There's no state of emergency. People are being killed on a daily in the north, and there's no state of emergency declared in those areas. So these are the sort of conversations that Nigerians are having at this point because of this decision by the National Assembly. It appears there's no strong opposition. Well, in the meantime, the newly appointed sole administrator of Rivers State, Ibok Ete Ibas, formally assumed office on Thursday. He was welcomed by officers of the Nigerian Army at the Port Harcourt Airport and went straight into a closed-door meeting with senior security officers and state officials. Let's take a look. Rivers sole administrator there has assumed office. I'll take Dele Farotimi's tweet. He wrote, "Our reality is that the law is now whatever Tinubu says it is, and whatever he wants it to be. Tinubu is the law. A de facto dictatorship has been foisted on us. Many will argue against the truth, but the notorious facts are staring us all in the face. A dictatorship Nigeria." Well, meanwhile, a Rivers State indigene, Daniel Wariboko, has sued President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the federal government for suspending Governor Fubara, his deputy, and the State House of Assembly. Wariboko instituted the suit at a federal high court in Abuja and prayed the court to nullify the action taken by the president, which he says is contrary to the 1999 Constitution as amended. He posted a copy of the suit on Instagram with the caption, "I have done my part." As Marcus Goldlow, PhD, once said, "Neither silence nor indifference in the face of overt injustice is a virtue to be desired or a discipline to be practiced. I am a Nigerian citizen, a lawyer, and a native of Rivers State. Over the past few days, I have watched as the democratic institution of my state were unlawfully suspended by a man who swore to uphold the Constitution. Today, I have submitted some of the questions weighing on my mind before the Federal High Court in Abuja, challenging the legality of the actions taken by the president." A congressman, John Lewis, of blessed memory, said, "Democracy is not a state, it is an act, and each generation must do his part. I have done my part." These are people, citizens of Rivers State, people condemning what appears to be an unconstitutional approval of a state of emergency in Rivers State. Dr. Abati, I'd like for you to unpack some of those questions I raised earlier, especially as it has to do with the imminent danger.
Okay, Section 305, sub 3, paragraph 2, I think. Paragraph 1 says, when there is when there is threat of war. Paragraph 2 says, when there is imminent threat of an invasion or the possibility of war in the country. Now, Section 2 of that same section, 305 sub 2, says that the president shall declare a state of emergency. Shall, in law, is obligatory. So the president has a primary responsibility to prevent either war or a possible invasion of Nigeria, or a possible breakdown of law and order, or a possible threat of war in any part of the Federation. We do not question his powers in that regard. What is being questioned is how he has exercised that power. However, the contentious issue this morning is 305 sub 2 about imminent threat. Now, the president receives a lot of security reports. He gets the blue paper every morning from the Nigerian Intelligence Agency. He gets the report from the DSS every morning. I don't know what color the DSS is using now. It's a report. It comes in the morning, and the president, will read it and all of that. I don't want to give you how I got to know the various reports. He gets a report from Directorate of Military Intelligence. He gets briefing also from the National Security Advisor. And that is why sometimes, the president having a helicopter view, even if you are a presidential advisor, you tell him certain things, he may rely on those security reports to take a decision. The other part of it to note is that the situation in Rivers State, I hold the view that there was imminent threat of danger. No argument about that. Because we saw that the Ijaw Youth Congress was already saying that they will blow up federal government assets in that region if Fubara was impeached. We saw that the Ijaw National Congress was also on television saying that there will be chaos. Now, I guess no responsible president will fold his arms and say, let them go and do their worst. What I do not agree with is collapsing democratic structures. And I go straight to that point. The story you brought about Ibokete Ibas now doing a song and a dance because of an illegal appointment that he has been given. Now, there is no local government structure in place in Rivers State. There is no House of Assembly. The only thing you have is a sole administrator. Who is going to hold Vice Admiral retired Ibokete Ibas accountable? This is the point we're making about transparency and accountability. There is a lacuna there. And I also argue that we also seem to have created an impression that when civilians have problems with our democracy, we go and look for a soldier, a retired soldier, to come and help. Is it that there are no decent civilians who can even help in this kind of situation? So that's also another question about transparency and accountability. And that leads me to the National Assembly. The main question we're raising is about transparency. They said they went into a closed session in the Senate. What was that closed session all about? We said yesterday on this program, we want to see it live because all of us have a stake in this matter, because it's our democracy that is at stake. And that's why I agree with Mr. Peter Obi, who said that the best practice in other places is that they will emphasize transparency and accountability. Absolutely. There will either be a roll call or the voting will be by electronic means. But we're still running the legislature in Nigeria as if we're in antediluvian times, operating democracy as if we're living in the Stone Age. And Senator Seriake Dixon has already issued a statement saying that when they went into that closed session, even before it, there was an attempt to gag him, and at the closed session, there were some senators who disagreed vehemently. But it was clear that those senators would not be allowed to speak in plenary. Now, we cannot have a kangaroo legislature at the national level, because at the end of the day, some people walked out. Senator Tambuwa, according to Senator Seriake Dixon himself walked out of the plenary session because they saw that the outcome had been predetermined, and the National Assembly arguably, lived up to its reputation as a Babasope National Assembly. And that is why the president is praising them for patriotism. The president may praise them for patriotism, but Nigerians are not convinced that the process was transparent. And that, again, is well illustrated by the fact that Obi Agwocha, Honorable, was shouted down by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. We are just saying anything they do should be transparent and accountable. And the people have the right to ask questions.
Absolutely. Well said, Dr. Abasi. Ayo, before I come to you, the situation in River State, I mean, we're getting reports some people are out there on the streets while others are just maintaining their lane. Well, the chairman of Obiokpo local government area of River State, Chijioke Ihonwo, was seen in a video singing Governor Fubara's praise during an event. Chijioke posted the video on his X account with a caption, "On Governor Fubara's mandate, we stand." Let's take a look. All right, we don't know when this event actually took place, but he posted it yesterday on his X account, sending a signal that they are standing, that they are standing behind a Fubara. I'd like for you to touch on this, as well as the lawyer from River State who sued President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for suspending Governor Fubara.
His name is Daniel Wariboko.
Yes.
And I'd actually taken that spot to touch on.
Perfect.
In terms of, I have done my part. Earlier on, I'd said that beyond, and I'd said opposition is dead in Nigeria because we had opposition party members in the National Assembly. I don't know whether or not they had information, as Senator Abe was saying to us earlier, that perhaps in that closed session, they'd given them some intelligence, security intelligence, which swayed them in terms of the way that they voted. But if they did, then I think they ought to be bold enough to also come out to say it out and defend their vote, saying that they knew something and was in the interest of Nigeria. If it was truly transparent, we won't argue about it so much. One of the biggest things as well is the lack of trust in the people that are there, whether it's from the president, the processes, and why a lot of people are seeing more of a political undertone as opposed to it being in the interest of Nigeria because of critical assets that could be endangered. Now, Daniel has a right. He's gone he's a major stakeholder, as we've said, because he's a River State man, and he's approached the courts to challenge the legality or constitutionality of the president's decision. And this is one citizen who has decided to take his civic responsibility.
Absolutely.
We cannot just stay as citizens on social media, comment, and not just us. I mean, we are the fourth estate of the realm. We have the opportunity to also hold government to account. But Nigerians have the right to have their voices heard through the representatives in the National Assembly. And there are many ways that can be done. If it seems like they are not representing your views as you voted them in for, then you can recall them. But we know that that's almost nigh impossible. You can pursue legal opportunities. We cannot just sit down and talk, complain. They will move on to the next situation. So many issues happen, and they know the ways of Nigeria. You talk now, tomorrow we forget it. Let them just bring, one of those popular reality shows. Everybody moves on, and we continue to we recycle. I even took it back to the cycle of elections. If you are pathetic during elections, you have no right to complain when things like this break down because you are part of the problem. Now, when it comes to politics, yes, we have people who are front-liners, front-runners, elected officials, but every single Nigerian has a civic responsibility to protect the integrity of our constitution and the integrity of Nigeria. And if you feel like anything is not working, explore the channels that are available to you. Your voices don't have to be quiet. I think it's very important. But the other man, I don't know if that's his own way of contributing to the discourse. I don't know how that helps anything at all. Yeah. That chairman or suspended chairman of Obiokpo. It's not about any man. Like you said earlier, it's not about Fubara. Yes. It's about Nigeria. Absolutely. It's about the democratic processes in Nigeria that we're all fighting for.
All right. So a caveat though. Yeah. These people singing Day or Day, they sound like an Ogogoro squad. So I don't know whether...
But he's the executive chairman of... that's what he wrote, executive chairman of...
They were busy drinking and carrying cups, so were they making their statements under the influence? But that's by the way. The second thing, the Daniel Wariboko, who is going to court, two issues will come up. Yes. There will be issues about whether he has local standing. There will be issues about jurisdiction. Yeah. Because the basic dispute is between federal government and Rivers State, you know, and then at the end of the day, even if the matter goes to Supreme Court, as we have argued, say, let's test 305 to know the extent. You know, there will be issues about technicalities, as happened in Plateau State government, you know, versus Attorney General of the Federation, which is a decided case. So, but that he has played his part. As a citizen, he has expressed himself. But there will be technical issues that could
and that is what I love about the story. And that's the message out there. We all have to do our part to continue to foster democracy in Nigeria. Speaking about strong opposition, in another development, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has announced a coalition with Labour Party leader Peter Obi and former Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai to challenge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2027 elections. Well, during a press conference in Abuja on Thursday, Atiku confirmed that discussions are underway to unify opposition forces against the ruling All Progressives Congress. Let's take a look.
Are we seeing this united front go ahead into the 2027 general election, thus assuming is the bet of a major opposition against the APC? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, Rufai, you're saying it's not going to work. Let me read Bayo Onanuga's tweet before I come to you, Rufai. Bayo Onanuga wrote on X, he said, "My message to the coalition of Tinubu haters. President Tinubu is focused on governance to build a prosperous country. He's on the way to achieving this. 2 months to his midterm. He has many solid achievements to showcase. Intraceable problems are being tackled headlong. He cannot be distracted by the so-called coalition of politicians. They are not politicians after the public good. It's all about their self-interest. They are disgruntled. They are a frustrated lot. The leaders are sore losers. The coalition is an amalgam of Tinubu's haters. Their agenda is to stop Tinubu, but of course, that's what their agenda is, to take over the ruling All Progressives Congress. But the idea about a strong coalition, and you know, we've been talking about this issue of, you know, the strong opposition and how it can work in many climes. There are strong opposition, and that's the only way a true democracy can be practiced. And I want to read this Peter Obi's tweet again before I come to you, Rufai, because it was a flurry of tweets, and this is part of it. He wrote, "An effective opposition can only exist within a system that supports proportional representation, an approach practiced in countries like South Africa and Indonesia. In South Africa, for example, the National Assembly has 400 seats. The African National Congress received about 40% of the vote and holds approximately 160 seats, while the Democratic Alliance, with about 20% of the vote, holds around 80 seats, alongside several other parties. Those who contested the presidential election remain the recognized leaders of their respective parties. If that were the case in Nigeria, our Senate, comprising 109 seats, would be more reflective of electoral realities, with the APC holding 44 seats, the PDP 33 under the leadership of Atiku, and the Labour Party 27 under my leadership. Ideally, the House of Representatives should mirror this balance, with approximately 144 APC members, 108 PDP members, and 90 Labour Party members. But this is far from the case. The absence of laws restricting party defection allows politicians to switch allegiances freely and without consequence. This not only weakens the opposition, but also makes a mockery of the electorate and undermines the integrity of our democratic institution. What we are left with is not a genuine democratic system, but one that is transactional, compromised, and in many respects resembles organized criminality." Rufai.
It's correct. So let me tell you, I'll go historical now. In the 70s, we had a similar resemblance of what Peter Obi was saying. After the Shagari election, sort of like a government of national unity. But we know how that works. They frustrated the other parts, they subsumed power, then the Shagari camp consolidated in the next election in the early 80s. You see, over the years, the politicians have turned our democracy into a winner-takes-all. That's why I say coalition is going to be hard. You are almost destroyed for being opposition. Probably the only group that did a viable opposition, and that's why I still give them kudos till tomorrow, is the APC, when they were in opposition, and they nailed it right. Also, you know, they have the capital base, and also, they had a president like Goodluck Jonathan that wanted the system to be able to work. So kudos to that man.
Absolutely.
Kudos to Goodluck Jonathan for allowing opposition thrive.
Right.
But since the APC got there now, they are not that kind of, free people which allowing opposition thrive.
I wish we had a lot of time. I'd like to thank you all.